Welcome to TERRA at Home with your host, Chris Moretti.
Good morning and welcome to TERRA at Home. With the temperature dropping as we now enter November, it's time to really start thinking about ways to refresh your home, take a new look at things, and I'm here with Sandra Simpson from Closet Oasis. Thank you so much for being with us, Sandra.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
As the temperature drops, we start dealing with more stuff inside. Everything from outside comes inside, as well as pulling out all of our winter things, coats and boots and scarves and mitts and all this great stuff that we need to bundle up for the winter. And it can lead to a bit of a cluttered household, and you've got some great tips today for addressing that.
I do.
So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it in a moment, but first let's talk a bit about what you do. So Closet Oasis is a company that can basically help you to get more organized.
Well, a big thing what I do is I'm about the systems. Getting organized, there's a lot of steps in between there about processing your stuff, purging, but what I do is I help people get systems in place so that when they know what they've got, they know where it goes and that there's a place for it at the end of it all.
I think that's a big trick for a lot of people. Once you have everything, if it has a place, then there's somewhere to put it. Everything in its place, so everything needs to find a home where it's going to live.
And that's a big thing too, is that everybody processes things differently. Certain systems will work for me where it wouldn't work for you, and that's where I've kind of niched my specialty and became Closet Oasis to get the good systems, to know sort of what works for me, and then set it up for other people.
So what's the process of that? How does that work? How does one determine what systems will work for them? Do they come and talk to you?
Yeah, that's the best thing. I do an in-home consultation, and because we're all different, the best thing is for me to come in, because that's my job. Where you may want stuff behind doors, I may need things that are open. So what we do is we go through what the space is, what the function needs to be done, and then what I do is I design it, and I give you a 3D rendition of what it will actually look like, and then I make the product and actually install it for you.
Fabulous.
Yes.
So what are the implications of this? I mean, with a name like Closet Oasis, obviously closets come to mind. So organizing things like your wardrobe or maybe your coat closet where you've got all sorts of stuff in your front entrance. But really, this is an application that could go throughout your entire home.
It does, and if you ask any of my clients, I'm very big about open spaces, taking the doors off, having that open space to help you keep it organized. But if it's done right, it actually looks very pretty but also functional. So I do mud rooms. I love mud rooms because I have kids and I get the chaos of it. I do off-the-wall systems where it's an open closet, hang drawers, everything. I look for spaces in a home that could make something look nice but also have that storage. And not your typical storage where you just put something there and then fill it.
Right. So basically it's function with a bit of style as well, where you've got systems that are not only going to help you organize your stuff, but they don't look bad while you're doing it.
And that's the big thing. I'm all about quality, so that when you do invest in this and it's done right, that it lasts. And there's some products out there that are more for fly by your seat of your pants kind of thing, and that don't necessarily last as long, but I'm all about quality. So when we do it, you get it done right, and it's lasts the whole time you had the house.
Fabulous. So let's talk about some specifics then. You've got some great tips for those who need to, well, I think many of us need to have a bit of help in organizing all of our winter stuff. I know for me in my house, I can already tell that you're going to help me out. I've got like a winter basket, and it's about the size of a laundry basket, and all of my stuff just gets thrown in there, and then when I'm looking for a specific scarf or the second half of my mittens, I have to dig through the basket. It's not a good system. So you've got some good solutions here.
I like the cubes. I am officially a bin addict because I find this size of bin right here is big enough but small enough.
Right.
And so what I'm a very, very firm believer of is that you separate out your mitts. One's for your mitts, one's for your hats. I do this for my kids where it's hats and mitts, and the other one's scarves or shoes, but separate them out so that each kid has their own thing.
Okay.
Putting them into one big basket may be convenient, but it takes you longer to find that extra mitt than if you had split it out.
It's true. It doesn't work for me. I can tell you that already.
No. And when it comes to kids too, I find that they need routine. And so if you have something set up like this, they know that that's where their mitts are. I have 2 kids. They are now 4 and 6. So all my systems have gone through them.
Right.
And it actually does work. When they know that this one, let's say, would be the mitts and this one would be the hats, and they know to go to that. The system, not necessarily is one of those ones that is going to last for a long time because it is just the product itself.
Yep.
But I like this because I switch it. I bring it up in the winter and I take it down. So when I actually store it, I store it like this with the hats and the mitts down in my basement.
Perfect.
And then when it's winter time, it comes back up and it's not cumbersome at all.
Something like this as well, I mean, like you said, it's portable. If you needed to, you could put it on casters or something so you can roll it somewhere. I mean, this has a lot of different applications.
And it doesn't take up much space, so even if it may be an eyesore and where you look at it and go, oh, I don't really want to see that, if you have Christmas or anything like that, easy enough to pick up, take downstairs.
All right, let's move on. You've got some other great products here, a little
Okay,
bit
so
of
on the
suggestion.
hat, I think maybe on the hats and the mitt side, and then we'll lead into the boots. So this was something actually that I had when I was a kid. My parents had it, and I took forever to find it. But they're actually in Home Hardware. Zellers had them too. What you do is you put this on your register, you leave it there, and I recommend 2 so that you have a cycle of it, and then you put your wet mitts, your wet boots. As soon as the kids come in, they don't put them away, you put them right on these things.
And then they're right there.
And then they're right there. And they get dried inside. You can put them in the dryer, but that only dries the outside. This way it goes inside and you don't get that yucky smell that comes after a while.
Perfect. Let's talk boots. Same idea where you've got boot tray. I mean, that's sort of a basic and that's a good thing to have, but you've got one step further.
Well, I believe in raising the boots off the boot tray. So this I got at IKEA, or you can use one of the cookie cooling racks. You can put that on there. But by putting them just a little bit above the boot tray, the water is going to drain. So then your boots aren't sitting in water and all that salt and everything and wrecking your boots.
I like it. Let's talk scarves. You've got a good solution for these too.
So not only am I a bin addict, I'm a scarf addict. So what I found is I found these at the dollar store, and because they're velvet, the fancy ones don't slide off.
Ah.
So they've got multiple rungs, and they're thin enough that they can just go right into your coat closet.
Fantastic. So that's nice. And this is good for all times of year where you've got a collection of pashminas or even your belts, things like that could all go on this kind of system.
Exactly.
And I know that you're very excited about hooks.
I love my hooks, and a lot of people don't know about this product from 3M. It's called Command, and because of the winter weather, a lot of times we have to have those extra hooks for snow pants or even backpacks when school starts. But drilling a hole into our wall or even into the door, that's a big adjustment to the space.
So hooks can actually be temporary.
Right. So these are temporary hooks, and basically they come and this slides off. You stick the one side to the hook, and then this side goes to the wall. I'm going to do this so you can see what happens when you pull it off.
And these can go anywhere. This can go on the backs of doors, on the wall, all sorts of stuff like that.
Exactly. And the nice thing is you can do double hooks, so you can have one hook here, one hook there, and it uses the same amount of space.
Fantastic.
So then what happens is when it's stuck to the wall and you want to take it off, you just pull this rubbery thing,
and it just comes right
and
off.
it comes off. And I've tested them with heavy backpacks and with newly painted walls, and I haven't had a problem.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for the great tips, Sandra. It's been a pleasure having you
Oh,
here.
it's been fun. Thank you.
Coming up after the break, more ways to get ready for the winter season on TERRA at Home.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
Well, welcome back to TERRA at Home, where we're joined by a special guest right now, Visual Merchandising Manager Michelle James. Michelle, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
This is a very busy time for you and your team, and I'm looking forward to perhaps getting a bit of an inside peek at TERRA Christmas that's going to be happening here. Really, it's starting right now.
It is starting right now. It's unreal. Can you believe it? I feel like we just had Christmas last year. Yeah, we're there already, and it's exciting this year. We've done some different things. I think that everyone's going to feel like it's got a little bit of a splash of every sort of modern, traditional, fun. It's just a little bit different this year.
So for people who maybe haven't experienced a Christmas at TERRA before, what do they have to look forward to when they walk through the doors of any of our stores?
It's very colorful, surprisingly. You know, Christmas is very traditionally gold and red and white. We have done that with many of our themes, but we've also really delved into some brighter colors, a little bit more contemporary, which I think is different for people.
Yeah.
More natural even. I think last year you saw a little bit of the natural, but this year you're going to see a lot more.
So naturals are a trend for this season?
Absolutely.
Now, at TERRA, we've got sort of Christmas for everybody, in that there are different themes that appeal to different people, different color stories, obviously. Maybe walk us through a few of the themes that we should be on the look for. Do you have a few favorites this season?
I definitely have a couple of favorites that I'm really excited about. We have a theme called Paper White, and it's all burlap and white ornaments,
Nice.
which I think is very, very classy, but also very natural. I think it's just going to be very, very pretty, which I think is nice. We have cardinal, which I think is very traditional. A lot of people really like cardinal birds. You see them at Christmas time in a lot of themes, but this year we really focused on them. We've got red trees to go with that theme. So it's a little bit different. Not so like, I don't know really how to describe. It's not so traditional that like our generation might not like it. I think it's actually cool.
Okay.
So I like it. It's different. We've thrown in a little bit of purple. We did a theme called Sassafras, and chose to use like a gunmetal gray and silver and some clear ornaments, and then a really, really bold, deep purple.
Very
so
nice.
I think that's going to be a little bit classy.
So whether you choose to take a theme as a whole and sort of take your own decor inspiration from that as a customer or as a homeowner, you can walk in and say, that's the look I want this season. Or of course you can pick and choose from different trees for different inspiration. How does one shop most effectively at TERRA?
I think back to how I shop, and I've been here for a long time, so I've seen Christmas over the years, and I look at my tree, and my tree looks different every year, but it's still the same sort of theme every year, and I've just picked up different ornaments. So for someone who likes the reds and the golds, we most certainly have those, and you're just going to pick them off of different trees as opposed to just one tree. For someone who likes the naturals, there's 3 or 4 different choices of different kinds of naturals. It may be paper, it may be burlap, it may be wood. So again, you're just sort of picking and choosing off of different trees. And then those who want to try something new, they may end up buying a whole lot of ornaments that are just totally for one kind of look. A lot of people last year did children's trees.
Yeah.
And so you have to collect quite a number of things for those trees again.
So that's another thing too. I mean, themes that you start within your own household can evolve and change through the years as you gather more ornaments, and maybe it takes on a new life, and you can find new additions to that every season with different themes at TERRA.
It does, and I think that that's one of the best parts about Christmas is that you get to continue something,
Yeah.
No one really goes out and buys 500 ornaments for a tree from the get-go. It's collected over the years. I know you've done that with your
Definitely.
family, and I've done it with mine, and it was something that every year we always were given an ornament in our stocking from my parents, and I know a lot of my friends have had that tradition as well.
Yeah.
So every year I buy a few ornaments for our tree, and it's just something a little bit different.
You've mentioned a few materials for this season to look for, burlap, paper, that kind of thing. Different textures and different types of material are a big part of what creates different looks and different themes. Are there some in particular that stand out for you this year? Burlap, paper, are there others?
The burlap and the paper, definitely. The paper more
more so than anything, just because it is something a little bit different. We're very used to glass and hard balls and things like that, like
Shiny
hard
things,
materials.
yeah.
The paper is really interesting, and it's in a few different varieties, in a few different colors, in a few different shapes. You've got like the origami kind of like paper, and then you just have some of the natural paper. We have some printed paper for the heirloom theme, which I think is really kind of neat. It's just, yeah, it is a little bit different. There's a lot, again, of feathers and birds and things like that. Branches always add a little bit of texture to the trees. Flowers, you know, a lot of people don't think that it's the time of year to have flowers necessarily, but there's some wonderful flowers. I mean, we all love amaryllis at this time of year, so we've got a number of those in our trees as well, in different colors.
It takes a lot of people to make this kind of magic happen in our stores, and you've got a team that you work very closely with.
I do.
So they've been busy little bees this season. What kind of work goes into setting up TERRA?
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of preparation. It's one of those things where you really have to plan and make sure that everything is ready to go, because we do set it up in a very short period of time. Right now, they're in the midst of shuffling the stores around to make room for the trees. All the trees were fluffed last week, so there's miscellaneous colorful Christmas trees all around the stores right now. And then, yeah, they'll start decorating. And it takes quite a bit of time per tree, so you'll typically see the next couple of weeks the stores will transition. It won't be overnight.
So I'd say it's fair to say you've been kind of busy.
Very. It's been a very, very busy time.
Definitely.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
Terra at Home, where we're now joined in the kitchen by Chef Rachel Johnstone. Thanks for being with us as always, Rachel.
Thanks, Chris.
With the cooler days now approaching, we're in November, it's time to sort of really heat things up in the kitchen and go for some classic comfort food. I think you've got a great example here.
Yeah, we're doing eggplant parmesan today.
Sounds
so
great.
A little twist on the, your regular chicken parmesan or veal parmesan. So delicious dish. We'll get started. I'm going to make a quick tomato sauce to begin with for it. I like to use just whole canned tomatoes. Yeah, and then as the sauce cooks down, the tomatoes will break up. But I start with the whole tomatoes. So in the pot here, I just have a little bit of oil heating up. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, a couple cloves. This is a nice, quick, easy sauce, and it's really delicious. You don't really need a lot of ingredients when you're making a nice tomato sauce. A little bit of garlic. I add some shallots as well, and some dried herbs, and then you can just let it simmer. I would say at least a half an hour, but the longer you let it sit, the thicker it gets, and the tomatoes break down. It'll be really good. So some garlic, and we'll do some chopped shallots as well.
Smells great already.
Yeah. Okay, and then this is just a mixture of dried herbs. So I use thyme. You can use rosemary, basil, oregano, some dried herbs in there. We'll also add a little bit of salt and pepper as well.
Okay.
Sometimes I add just a pinch of sugar to cut the acidity. So that's an idea as well. So just cook the herbs with the garlic and shallots for a minute to get all those flavors out, and then we'll add the tomatoes.
Oh, the fragrance really comes alive with those herbs in the pan. It's delicious. Of course, you could also use fresh herbs, correct? But you would put fresh herbs in later in the cooking process?
Right. Too much of the flavor and the herbs will cook out if you put it in right at the beginning. So I would put it in more towards the middle or the end. If you're going to use the fresh. Wow, okay, so we'll just pour all the tomatoes in, give it one more mix to make sure that, pass that over to you, thank you, to make sure that, the garlic and the herbs get all over the tomatoes, and then we'll put it on to, a medium-low setting, and we'll just let that simmer.
Great. Perfect for, say, a Sunday afternoon when you've got the football game on or something. You can just let it simmer away on the stove all afternoon.
Yeah, you don't really have to worry about it. Okay, so that's nicely mixed there. I'm just going to switch the burners here because we need this for our eggplant.
Okay.
So we'll move this sauce over. We'll let that simmer in medium heat. Put this on low, and we'll get a little bit of oil heating up for our eggplant.
Okay.
There's different ways that you can do the eggplant. I'm going to do it in this pan for now. You can also bake it in the oven for a couple minutes. You can deep fry it if you want to do that. We're just going to fry it in a bit of oil here in the pan.
Great.
So to prepare the eggplant, this is two, I would say, medium-sized eggplants.
Okay.
Slice them up, about an inch or so thick. And I lay them on a tray, sprinkle it with salt, and just let it sit for maybe 20 minutes or so to let all the moisture come out.
Oh, okay.
Then you want to rinse it well under cold water and then pat it dry. And you're
Okay.
ready to go. So you get a lot of that moisture out. Parmesan cheese for later. So we want to start with flour. We have a couple eggs here that we'll just gently mix up. And I have some breadcrumbs as well. Seasoned breadcrumbs, so there's salt, pepper, some fresh herbs chopped up in there.
Looks great.
So-
And I guess the herbs are up to you, basically, but obviously we're going with an Italian theme here, so
course.
basil, oregano would be good, maybe some rosemary.
Yep. So lightly beat this up, and then you want to start when you're breading. You want to start with the flour, then the egg, and then the breadcrumbs.
Okay. Now, could you follow this exact same methodology with chicken if you wanted to do chicken parm instead of eggplant?
Of course. Yep. Exact same way. Obviously, the chicken will need to cook a little bit longer, but
Right.
other than that, same idea. So then into the egg. This gets a little messy.
Messy in the kitchen is fun.
Yes. Want to make sure that it's covered nicely. It's getting nice and hot there. So just like that.
Okay.
So do that a couple times with a couple of these, and we'll get them frying up to show you how they cook.
That's pretty simple. I love having good vegetarian alternatives at my fingertips as well. So having something like this, if you are doing a chicken parm, to have a vegetarian alternative ready at the go with something like this, you could do zucchini too, instead of eggplant, any sort of thing like that to have for your vegetarian friends or guests.
Of course. Someone else also suggested to me recently about doing portobello mushrooms.
Oh, that would be
delicious. Which is good. Like eggplant, portobello mushrooms are very meaty, so it, you know, it's a really substantial alternative if you're not having the meat. Okay, we'll take that off for a minute. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll start to fry this up.
Okay.
There we go.
This is a fun dish to do in the kitchen, maybe with the kids too, to help you with all the different steps of breading. So it can be sort of an assembly line with the whole family working in the kitchen together.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now this pan's really hot, so you have to be careful when you put these in, but we'll use our tongs. And so you just want to fry them lightly on each side. Eggplant really doesn't take a long time to cook, and we're going to be putting it in the oven after too. So you just want to, you know, brown both sides, basically.
Give it a bit of color.
Exactly. So we'll get those frying up. That wasn't quite as high as I hoped it was, but you want it to be sizzling when you put them in there. So we'll leave that for a minute. We'll do some more of these. What we're going to do when they're done is arrange them in our baking dish. Put a little bit of the sauce on the bottom. You know, a nice slice of mozzarella cheese on top, some tomato sauce on top, and then we can definitely put some Parmesan in there as well.
Naturally, as the name would suggest, eggplant Parmesan.
Okay, so the tomato sauce is cooking up really nice.
Great, so we'll continue breading our eggplant, get them going, and then we'll fill the dish. When we come back from break, we'll have them coming out of the oven. How long are we going to bake those for?
Probably about 30 minutes or so. You just want to make sure that everything's warmed through, that the eggplant's cooked through, and the cheese is nicely melted.
Sounds
about 30
great.
minutes.
All right, so when we come back, see the finished product right back here on Terra at Home.
Come and explore the new Terra, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to Terra at Home, where Chef Rachel has just finished off our eggplant Parmesan. Rachel, it looks and smells absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Let's recap for those at home how we made this happen.
Sure, we started off with a simple tomato sauce, some garlic, shallots, and some dried herbs, our whole tomatoes, and you just let that simmer, you know, for at least 20 minutes or so. And then we fried up the eggplant. We dredged it in our breadcrumbs, our seasoned breadcrumbs, fried it in the pan. And then you know, it's all about layering. So in the pan we started with some tomato sauce in the bottom, layered our eggplant in there, covered it with mozzarella cheese, more sauce, of course some Parmesan, and then baked it in the oven for, you know, about 25-30 minutes or so, you know, just until it's all heated through, the eggplant's cooked, and the cheese is melted.
Fantastic.
We're ready
What
to
I like
serve.
about Parmesan, eggplant, or chicken, or otherwise, is you can serve it in many ways. We're going to serve it standing on its own. You can put it over a bed of pasta. You can serve it with a side of salad. You can even make it into a sandwich if you wish. So
of course.
it's a nice versatile dish.
There we go.
Leftovers make great lunches, which is always good. And it's going to be delicious.
Nice. We can finish it off with some more Parmesan if we want, maybe even some fresh basil.
Which is always what we like to do. We'll garnish with a little bit of freshness, some green on the plate. Lovely. And of course, a little more Parmesan never hurt anyone.
No, of course not. There we go. Finish it off.
That's
Nice,
great.
comforting winter meal.
Fabulous. And of course, you can always find this and all of Chef Rachel's recipes online at terragreenhouses.com. Rachel, I can't wait to save this one myself. I have a feeling this is going to be a staple in my kitchen.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks to all of you for joining us. Join us right back here next week for more from Terra at Home.